You ready to bet 180 grand with DDG. You bet 20 grand with AK. 1 minute you saying you can't. Did the rules change from January to March, or where you said you get in trouble if you place a bet and this, that?
Yeah, Adin definitely scamming. He tried to say I was drinking and getting lit. I don't even drink, chat. It's definitely an excuse to make it more favorable.
On March 14th, 2026, Blueface stepped into Adin Ross's brand risk boxing event in Miami and got handed a unanimous decision loss to a Twitch streamer named Chibu that almost nobody had ever heard of. But the loss itself isn't the story. The story is what Blueface said the moment those scorecards were read. He looked Adin Ross dead in the face on Adin's own live broadcast in front of hundreds of thousands of people and accused him of tampering with the bets and rigging the outcome so he could profit off his own gambling markets. And now, federal investigators are being called in. A professional boxer publicly demanded the FBI look into brand risk promotions and whether Adin Ross has been manipulating fight results to cash out on the betting lines he controls. And Adin's response to all of it wasn't to show receipts. It wasn't to be transparent. It was to pull out his lawyers and threaten to sue anyone who kept talking. No cap. When your first move is lawsuits and silence instead of proof, that tells you everything you need to know. So today we're breaking down how Adin Ross allegedly paid to flip the result of a fight, how Blueface's own manager Whack 100 clapped back and put Adin on blast, and why this situation might be way bigger than a boxing card beef. Let's get into it. Adin Ross built his entire brand on being the guy who goes further than anyone else. He's one of the most followed streamers on the internet, and when he launched Brand Risk Promotions, he wasn't trying to be a traditional boxing outfit. He was building something that had never existed before. Influencer boxing with real sanctioned judges, real fight cards, and real gambling markets built around every single event. The name Brand Risk itself came from Kick CEO Ed Craven calling Adin a brand risk to the platform because of his controversial behavior. So what did Adin do? He turned the insult into a business empire. But here's what really went down underneath all that success. Unlike regular content boxing events, Brand Risk has live betting attached to it. Real money moving on who wins and who loses on every single card. And Adin Ross, the same person who promotes the fights, books the matchups, selects the opponents, pays the fighters, and controls the entire operation, is also directly connected to the financial ecosystem around those bets. That is a conflict of interest that should have raised red flags from day one. Because when you own the promotion and you're profiting from the gambling market around it, you have the motive, the access, and the ability to shape outcomes before the first punch is ever thrown. The allegation being made now, by Blueface, by a professional boxer, and by people calling for federal scrutiny, is that Adin Ross did exactly that on March 14th. To understand how it all unraveled, we gotta go back to how Blueface even ended up on that card. Let's rewind to 2023. Back then, Blueface, real name Jonathan Michael Porter, was building a legitimate crossover boxing career. The offbeat flow, the face tattoos, the internet chaos, all of it made him a natural fit for the celebrity boxing world. And for real, the man had a record worth talking about. He knocked out Ed Matthews in London and followed that up with a win over Cain Trujillo. He even put in sparring sessions with Floyd Mayweather, which went viral for all kinds of reasons. But the point is, Blueface wasn't just cosplaying as a boxer, he had real wins behind him. Then the legal system hit. A probation violation from a 2021 battery case landed him in prison. He served just over 7 months, and when he came out, the physical transformation was jarring. He came back 53 pounds heavier, moving from middleweight all the way up to heavyweight. That's not a minor weight cut adjustment, that's an entirely different division with different opponents, different demands, and different risks. But there was a plan in place. Blueface linked up with Brand Risk Promotions for what was being sold as a tune-up fight on March 14th, a low-pressure situation to shake the rust off before a much bigger event. Because May 2nd, 2026 was already booked. A publicized bout against former NBA champion Nick Swaggy P. Young in Miami was on the calendar, tickets were selling, and the comeback narrative was building momentum. This is important. Blueface didn't come into Brand Risk 13 trying to make a statement, he came in for a controlled warm-up. But here's where things started getting murky before the fight even happened. The original main event for Brand Risk 13 was supposed to be Blueface versus rapper Ruga. That matchup was built, promoted, and set, but it never made it to fight night. And the reason why is one of the first details that starts making this whole situation look suspect. The Boxing Commission reviewed Blueface's sparring footage and pulled the fight. Not Brand Risk, not Adin Ross. The actual regulatory body decided Blueface didn't look ready to compete and refused to sanction the original bout. That's significant because it means anyone paying close attention already had evidence before March 14th that Blueface was not in peak fighting condition. And that kind of information, knowing your headliner is coming in undertrained and physically behind, is exactly the type of edge that someone running a gambling operation on their own card could exploit. So Brand Risk scrambled and brought in a replacement, kick streamer Chibu, who came in with a 9-1 boxing record. Chibu wasn't a name, he wasn't a draw. He was a content creator who happened to box, and on paper, Blueface was supposed to handle him with no problem. According to the betting lines and the general expectation, this was a comfortable win for the rapper. Round 1 went that way too. Blueface was moving Chibu around, looking more athletic, more composed. The crowd was even booing Chibu. Everything looked like it was trending toward the expected result. But then round 2 happened, and things escalated in a way that a lot of people found hard to explain. Chibu walked Blueface back into the ropes and started landing sustained body shots. And in one of the wildest moments of the night, Blueface got pushed through the ropes and fell completely outside the ring. The crowd lost it, and here's where it gets real. The referee ruled it not a knockdown, just part of the action. The fight continued like nothing happened, and from that moment forward, the momentum never came back to Blueface. By round 6, he was trapped in in the corner, taking a barrage of unanswered shots that nearly forced a stoppage. When it went to the cards, all 3 judges scored it for Chibu. Unanimous decision. Now here's what you need to sit with. Blueface's own manager, Whack 100, came out after the fight and told DJ Academics straight up he had Blueface winning 4 rounds to 2. Not losing by a landslide, 4 rounds to 2. For a fight to come back unanimous on all 3 scorecards when the fighter's own team has him winning 4 rounds, that's not just questionable. That's the kind of thing that makes people start asking what really happened at the judges' table. Then Blueface pointed out something else that people slept on. He said on his own stream backstage, every single highlight clip that went viral from that fight showed round 6, every one. He literally asked, where are the clips from rounds 1 through 5? His point was that the story being told online was carefully constructed to make the loss look way more decisive than the actual fight was. And if you're someone who controls the promotion and profits from the betting market, a convincing-looking dominant loss is worth a lot more money than a controversial split decision. But that's not even the crazy part. On March 14th, 2026, inside Adin Ross's Miami warehouse, the night went sideways the moment those scorecards were announced. Adin walked up to Blueface in the ring, live on the Kick broadcast, hundreds of thousands watching in real time, and asked if Blue would come back to brand risk, tried to play it smooth, talked about rematches. And according to everyone who watched that broadcast, Blueface did not play along. He looked at Adin Ross and said it directly. Adin, you know damn well you ain't gonna lose your own money on your own fight card. Then he went further. I probably won't get back on brand risk because you tampering with the bets. No subtweet, no podcast interview 2 weeks later. He said it live on Adin's own stream to his face, and Adin's response, never that, repeated denials, claiming he had no idea what Blueface was talking about, came right before he turned and walked away from the conversation entirely. He went straight to Chibu to celebrate and left Blueface standing there mid-sentence. On a separate stream backstage, Blueface kept going. He said Adin was definitely scamming. He addressed a story being pushed that he had come into the fight drunk or partying beforehand. He tried to say I was drinking and getting lit before the fight. I don't even drink, chat. He brought up the viral clip situation again, and he kept coming back to the core of what he was alleging, that a promoter who controls the gambling operation around his own fights has every incentive in the world to already know the result before the fighters lace up. Now here's where the allegation really gets serious, and I want to be clear about what's a claim versus what's confirmed. The accusation Blueface is making, and that others have since echoed, is that Adin Ross had financial interests riding on Chibu winning that fight, that he positioned himself to profit from the betting markets before the night even started, and if the judges scoring your card are in any way influenced by the operation around it, if the outcome is guided before anyone sits down at the table, that's not just an ethics violation, that is match fixing, and match fixing is a federal crime. Did Adin literally hand cash to the judges? There's no documented proof of that right now, but the circumstantial case being built, that he knew Blueface was undertrained because the commission rejected his original fight, that he controlled the betting ecosystem around the card, that the result came back unanimous on all 3 cards when Blueface's own manager had him winning 4 rounds, and that his first response to the allegations was legal threats and not transparency, is exactly why people started using the word federal, and that word got loud real fast. But the story doesn't end there. The public reckoning around what happened that night played out fast, and the person who escalated it hardest wasn't Blueface. It was professional boxer Chase Demore. Demore, who already had his own history with Adin Ross from a previous beef, went on X the same night and posted without any hedging. All I've learned tonight is don't fight on brand risk if Adin bets against you. Rigging fights and match fixing is wild. FBI gonna investigate this. No allegedly, no some people are saying. A direct public statement calling for federal investigators to look at Adin Ross's operation. Adin Ross found that post and reacted on stream the next day, and what he did tells you a lot about where his head was at. He didn't sit down and refute the allegations with evidence. He didn't offer to release the judging criteria or open his books. He read Demore's tweet out loud on stream and said, easy case. You didn't even say allegedly. It's an easy case, dude. I am gonna sue you for everything you have. I need to make examples out of people that try to talk reckless like you. Just take the tweet down in 24 hours. He called it a clear defamation case and said his lawyers were already looped in. Chase Demore deleted the post. He put up a follow-up saying it wasn't worth the legal headache and that he had no beef with Adin personally. Backed down publicly, but the damage was already done because the conversation had spread, and one deleted tweet doesn't answer the questions that Blueface raised live on the broadcast. Meanwhile, Whack 100 was still talking. When DJ Academics got him on the phone after the fight, Whack didn't hold back. He disputed the unanimous decision directly, said he had Blueface winning 4 rounds to 2, and made clear that what happened on those scorecards did not reflect the fight he watched in that ring. That's Blueface's own manager, the man ringside for every round, telling the public that the result was wrong. And when someone with Whack's credibility and track record comes out and says the judging didn't match the fight, that carries weight. Here's the financial layer that makes all of this worse. DJ Academics revealed on stream that Blueface walked away from that night with somewhere between $350,000 and $1 million. That's more than double what he made from the Ed Matthews fight in 2023, which paid him $160,000. So on the surface, Blueface got paid. But think about what that means inside the structure of the allegation. If the promoter is paying the fighter a guaranteed bag, controlling the betting markets around the card, and positioning to profit from an unexpected result, the fighter's payday is actually part of the mechanism. You pay Blueface enough that he shows up, you shape the outcome, you cash out on the market, and you walk away with more than you paid him. Brand Risk Promotions released 0 official statements addressing any of Blueface's allegations. 0. Adin did say on stream that the judges scoring his card were the same credentialed professionals who work UFC events, legitimate people. But here's the problem with that defense. Nobody is questioning whether the judges were real judges. The allegation isn't about who sat at the table. It's about whether the outcome was guided before they ever got there. Those are two completely different conversations, and Adin hasn't addressed the second one. It's also worth noting this wasn't even Adin's first legal battle tied to brand risk. Back in 2024, Misfits Boxing sued him after he tried to book their fighter Dean the Great for an independent event in violation of an active contract. He's been operating in legally contested territory since the beginning. Lawsuits are apparently so routine that Adin himself went on stream around this same period and casually said his lawyer called about being sued again like it was nothing. He described it as just part of the business now. That says something about how this whole operation functions. This situation changed the conversation around influencer boxing permanently. And for real, it was only a matter of time before something like this happened. Logan Paul and KSI built the influencer boxing lane into something mainstream. YouTube fights started pulling real pay-per-view numbers. Misfits Boxing turned into a legitimate promotional company with real infrastructure. The money got serious. And when real money enters any entertainment business, the temptation to manipulate outcomes for profit follows. That's not unique to brand risk. That's a human story that plays out anywhere the stakes get high enough. What Adin Ross built with brand risk is genuinely creative. No cap. He took internet culture, the chaos, the beef, the drama, and turned it into a fight card with a real audience. The Adam 22 and Jason Love fight back in January 2026 was one of the most watched influencer boxing events in months. Brand risk had momentum, it had credibility, it had something real going. But here's the tension that doesn't go away, no matter how many lawsuits get filed. When you are the promoter, the content creator, the platform operator, and the person connected to the gambling ecosystem around your own events, there is an inherent conflict of interest that cannot be resolved with a legal threat. Transparency is the only thing that answers it, and transparency is exactly what hasn't happened. Blueface may have genuinely come in out of shape. That's a real possibility. Academics made a fair point. Chibu was visibly training hard on social media every day leading up to the fight, while Blueface didn't show that same energy publicly. It's entirely possible Blueface lost a fight he should have won simply because he wasn't prepared. That's some wild stuff on its own. But that still doesn't explain the unanimous scorecards when his own manager had him winning 4 rounds. It still doesn't explain why every viral clip was from round 6 only. It still doesn't explain why Adin's first response to public allegations was a countdown clock and a lawsuit threat instead of a press statement with evidence. Those facts don't disappear because Blueface might have been undertrained. Today, Blueface still has his May 2nd fight against Swaggy P. Young on the books. Tickets are selling. But that event just got significantly more complicated. Coming off a loss like this, to a Twitch streamer in your heavyweight debut, in a fight people are openly calling suspect, is not the energy you want carrying into a bigger, more publicized card. And Adin Ross still has a promotion to run. 14 events deep, a growing roster, and a platform deal on Kick with real money moving through it. The last thing brand risk can afford is a serious regulatory body deciding to examine how the betting markets around these cards actually function. Because if that investigation gains any real traction, not just boxers tweeting from their phones, but actual oversight, it doesn't just damage one event. It puts the entire brand risk model under a microscope it might not survive. This situation is still developing. No official findings, no federal charges filed as of now. But the questions are out there, and the silence from brand risk promotions is louder than anything they could have said. Gang, you can silence one boxer, you can get one tweet deleted, you can give one streamer 24 hours to back down, but you cannot